Welcome back to the Information Week News Desk live at Interop in lovely Las Vegas. I'm Sarah Peters, and we are going to shift gears a bit and talk about careers and how the market is changing. So I'm here right now with Will Murrell. Will, I don't know if I just pronounced your name right.
Murrell.
Murrell.
Yes, Murrell.
Forget what I just said. I'm here with Will Murrell, Senior Network Engineer for Unicom Systems. Welcome, Will. Thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me. So
now, you're going to be giving a session tomorrow at 10:30, and in that session, you're going to be giving us a kind of a different view about the network engineer and how we think about the job altogether. So give us a little bit of a picture about where you think the job should go.
Stop being a specialist. Yeah, so I know, massive insight there. So it's this, we need to become more intentional as engineers. Okay. The way we approach our skill sets. You can't just rely on one area because of the way technology is shifting. All these newfangled SDN, software-defined whatever, NFE, all these things that are coming into the network now. We need this mindset to shift from stop focusing on just one portion, route switch, security, systems, whatever, to having this breadth of knowledge, because at some point in time, you're going to have to understand how, the data moves across the network. If you're not a route switch guy, you're going to have to understand how to, get a system up and running so the application can perform correctly. You're going to have to understand coding to get all these things going. So, and if you can't speak that language, getting a project up off the ground, it's a nightmare.
All right, but we're still going to need some specialists, I imagine, right? Like what you're saying is, we need more. I'm gonna go a little life sciences on you here for a second.
Okay.
I think what you're saying is that we need more ecologists, but that doesn't mean we don't still need microbiologists.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Totally agree.
Okay.
So I'm not saying yes. So it's called death of the network specialist.
Okay.
But I'm not advocating that there's going to be no such thing or room for specialists. You're always going to need someone that knows some subject, like so cold that they can do it in their sleep. Especially security, huge area. Security, wireless. You need guys that understand how RF works, and especially for these wide, massive deployments. And in the future, whenever all access is wireless access and the whole wired access side of things go away, which a lot of companies are doing, you'll need people that can actually design the wireless portion of things. So you'll need them, and then collaboration, because nobody likes to do voice implementations. So
we need to get a little less transactional and a little bit friendlier across all those silos.
Yes.
Now, is this something that I can see, first of all, that we need to build those skills, but it also sounds like something that is going to have to be something that happens within the organizations. Like, are organizations ready for that person?
Oh, not some are, right?
Okay.
In the mid-size to smaller businesses, these IT organizations are already seeing that shift. Everybody going, I've talked to some people, because I consulting professional services, and what's happening is as they move some of their services to the cloud, or they do these easily manageable solutions like Meraki, things like that, they don't need 30 guys to manage their network infrastructure or their applications or anything anymore. They need 10 guys. So what happens? 20 of those guys are all of a sudden out of a job, and it's left to the 10 guys that are still there to learn about all the stuff, right? So you see that in smaller ones. Bigger organizations, it'd probably be another 20 years before we destroy the silo there. I mean, it's the larger companies, they're and they're set up that way for a reason, but because when you have these big companies like EMC, Cisco, Salesforce, the way that the infrastructure is set up, you do need those siloed portions, to kind of control each individual part.
So you said that some small and mid-sized organizations are at that point. any big organizations yet that are moving in that direction that you're free to talk about yet?
Not quite yet.
Okay.
It's a culture thing.
Okay.
That's bigger. That's the biggest part of it. It's changing the culture, the engineer culture, and then the management culture. They have to understand that we can't approach it from this direction. You have to have those people that can talk to the other people to move things along. So I'm a network guy, but I speak systems. I speak storage. I can implement those solutions if need be. But obviously, projects are going to go quicker if I can collaborate with somebody and we both know what we're talking about.
Okay. Let's say two things are going through my head right now. One is, let's say I want to be this person. I want to be this person who's going to be the one who can help integrate everything, who sees the big picture. Wow, how do I learn all of those skills? Because you can't become a specialist in everything right away. Maybe you could do that job at the end of your career, but we can't wait for all of those people to get to the end of their career. And the other thing I'm worried about is the network guy, the old, the network guy and
the grumpy old engineer.
Guys, are they going to take that person? Are they going to work well with that person? And because I'm sure that's going to be a challenge for this new generation of network engineers that you're suggesting we get, which I can completely see the need for.
So to get there, first and foremost, collaborate with your team members, all right? Talk to your fellow engineers. Cross-train. Whenever there's a project going on, sit down with them. Even if you're not involved in it, go sit in on it if you have the cycles and learn and see what their processes are. Read a book. I have a very, set thing. I'm a huge reader, right? Love fiction books, nonfiction, all that. So for every 3 fiction books I read, I have to read a nonfiction book. And once I finish those 4 books, if the nonfiction book I read wasn't a professional development somehow, then I also read a professional development. So I go through 3 or 4 books a week. All right, so
You're just trying to make the rest of us look bad, Will.
No, I'm sorry, it happens.
Go ahead. I had to interrupt your statement to say that, but go on, please.
But read. Listen to podcasts. Go look at the blogs. There's fantastic blogs out there, and there's just so many people in the community that publicly share their knowledge and are accessible that you would be a fool not to take advantage of it. I don't understand why more people aren't doing it.
Do you think that it's essential at this point for network engineers to stay relevant in the next 10 years?
Yes, 100%, unequivocally.
So when we're at Interop 60 years, what is this what all of the network engineers are going to be looking like?
60 years, 30 years from now, that's going to be a completely different. It's going to be unrecognizable, from where we're at right now. We're in this transitional phase, right? So what's going to happen is the newer engineers that come along, they're already going to have this foundational knowledge that if they went out and got a degree or took some kind of learning program, they're going to have all this stuff thrown at them. All right, it's the existing engineers that are already in this space that are 5-10 years into their career already that need to make that transition into being the generalist as opposed to the specialist.
Okay, then my last question for you: if I am in management, if I'm a CIO, how do I find this unicorn and get them into my company? Or how do I breed these new unicorns for my company?
Eventually we'll all be unicorns. No, so they're out there. More often than not, you're going to have to create the unicorn, the Frankenstein method, essentially, for IT managers, where they take a bunch of engineers and kind of mash them together, and hopefully on the other side you have the generalist engineer that you need, and not necessarily the one you want, but the one you need. So you have to look, and essentially it does boil down. We're gonna have to breed them. They are out there. There's lots of guys out there that are moving towards this kind of full stack method, or or you break down the silos and all, and they're learning all the different disciplines. But you have to be very intentional as an engineer how you approach that, and just hug it, and embrace the fact that your job will be changing. You have to know these things, otherwise you're going to be stuck and gone.
Well, thank you, Will, so much. It's been a pleasure having you here with us.
Thank
Will
you.
Murrell for Unicom Systems. I almost said Unicorn Systems. Unicom Systems. Stay right where you are. More from the news desk after this.